Welcome to Moments with Marianne. This is your host, Marianne Pastana. We're here today with special guest, Christina Wilson, who's here to share with us her new book, Believe, a memoir in stories. So are you ready to explore a journey filled with love, loss, and resilience? Well, today's guest is here to share with us just that. Christina Wilson is a successful Wall Street wife, podcast host, author, and mother to a multi-ethnic blended family of 5 kids. Her book, Believe, initially planned as a 20-plus year short story project, was a unique way for Christina to document her life and experiences, starting as a memory book for her 2 sons after they lost their father at a young age. With her unique blend of personal experiences and professional insights, Christina also authored and designed a children's book, Letters to Heaven. So welcome to the show, Christina Wilson.
Thank you very much, Marianne.
Oh my goodness, what an honor it is to have you here and to talk about this book. I have to tell you, your writing is exceptional. And as I was going through this book, I really had a hard time putting it down. And I think that's probably what every author wants to hear, right?
Yes, that's wonderful. Thank you. I'm very honored.
So, what inspired you to write this book, especially now?
That's an interesting question. I started writing short stories. So this book, Believe It's a Memoir in Stories. Um, I I started writing short stories after my first husband died, and I had 2 young boys, aged 5 and 7. And I thought that, it would be nice one day to be able to give them just short stories about my life, their father's life, their life, what I had been through. And over the years, which has been almost 20, about 20 years, I just kept writing stories as life kept happening to me. And it's funny, I say that, all the stories are my life lessons, which I believe, because I believe that everything happens for a reason and that things happen for you, not to you. So while I think some of the stories, as you probably feel, can be emotional or dramatic or um, sometimes tough, but they were my life lessons. And because I think that way, I think it delivers hope and resilience in the story. So like I said, I started writing them for my young sons, and then now 20 years out, um, the stories are actually for, I'm remarried and I have 3 additional children. So I really wrote them for all of the kids now, and especially having daughters. I thought that some of the stories are really important for them to have, teach them inner strength and unconditional love and healthy love. And so the timing, I think, and a part of it is that I'm very spiritual, is that I just turned 60, and so I'm a wood dragon, and so I'm Chinese. And so the interesting thing is that this book got its life when I turned 60, and it's the first time the wood dragon comes back around. So not only did I, start my life as a wood dragon, this book has started its life as a wood dragon. And hopefully we'll see another wood dragon, which I don't think I will, because it only comes around once every 6 years.
Well, how exciting is that to have that connection, especially with the wood dragon? Why don't you share with us what it was like growing up? Because I know you grew up in a really big family.
Yes, I love having a big family. I'm one of 5, and I'm the middle child, 2 older sisters and 2 younger brothers. And we, part of it is I grew up very sickly. So I had very, very bad asthma. And so our family dynamics was a lot of the time centered around my health. So there was a lot that we could and could not do. but no one in my family ever made me feel um, different or not good enough or, uh, you know, have any guilt about being sickly. And so my I grew up with a very strong um, bond with my family, both my parents and all my siblings. And I think that's what I've carried through my life now, having five children. um, Family is very important to me. And so, yeah, I think, growing up with the love of my siblings and my parents, I in turn can turn that around and provide that to my children and my husband.
So, why did you choose the title Believe? Can you share that with us?
I chose believe because, and it's funny, I wrote down the word believe maybe 20 some years ago because really it's my belief system and what I believe in that has gotten me through my life. Um, and I talk about a couple of the things that I really believe in, and one is what I said earlier is that everything happens for a reason, and think it's so important that that I stress that is because when things are really tough and you're feeling like life is really coming at you, I think if you believe and understand that, this is happening for you and there's a reason for it, if you just hang in there, the truth is going to reveal itself. And so it gives you strength and hope. And then on the flip side of that, when things are great and life is great and you're feeling really good, you have gratitude because you know that okay, this is happening for me and it's a blessing. So it's things like that is believe to me is of I guess it's faith and spirituality, and that's how I live my life.
Well, you can see that interwoven within your book. There's so much of that there. I'd love for you to share a little bit about what it was like meeting Jeffrey and what that life was like.
So life with Jeffrey was um, exciting. He was larger than life. We met, I was young, I think 25 years old when I met him in New York City. And he was a trader and he was successful, but, after we met, he just kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And so while we lived a very lavish life, on the outside, what people saw was all the material things. I secretly, I guess, would say, was going through a very difficult time because he started to change and he got into things that were not that I did not like and feel comfortable with, and then that led to us not being on the same page, and he was at times abusive, and so you know what I think everyone else around us saw was this life of luxury, and we had everything material wise that we could want, but at the same time I was probably the most unhappy that I had ever been in my life. um, so you know I think I part of what I talk about is perception, and how you view things can also provide you with a strength when you need it. Because if you look at life and say, okay, you know, this is tough, but there's a reason. Like I said, your perception of it changes, and it allows you to feel better. And so that's sort of how I got on through my life when things were not good with him. But I knew Jeffrey's love. I knew how he loved, and I knew he loved me the best that he could. And so I accepted that and loved him unconditionally.
Well, I think that takes a lot of courage going through everything that you did, and we won't go into the details because it's so well written in your book, how you have
Thank you.
everything laid out. I understand, and again, we don't want to give away too much, but there was a life-changing phone call in September 11th, year 2000.
Correct.
And how did that moment redefine your journey and understanding of resilience?
Well, I think that was the biggest test of my resilience. So, yes, the phone call that happened was 9/11/2000, and it was life-changing because I had to all of a sudden make all the decisions. Um, Interestingly, I think I wrote in the book about how when I was almost 3 years old, I went into a coma because, my mom I had asthma, and at the time they didn't know it, and the hospital gave me too much epinephrine, and it put me in a coma, and my mom, after 3 days, was like, "Okay, she's not getting better at this hospital," and discharged me, and took me somewhere else and, saved my life. And this is now 9/11/2000. The same thing happened with me, but with, now my husband, Jeffrey. He was in a coma after suffering a traumatic brain injury, and I didn't think about it at the time, the coincidence of what was going on, but I knew inside when you know, after what I went through with the doctor, in Florida, I knew that it just wasn't right, and so I think I go with my intuition a lot, and so the feeling was so strong that, "Okay, this is not, we need to get out of here. I need to figure this out," and, um, there was just no time. I didn't really have time to think. I just acted, and, for 13 months, that's what I did. I lived on hope and positivity and optimism, and it got us through 13 months of what was I think I see as, even though it was a trying, difficult, at times tragic time, it was also a beautiful time because it was the time that I got to spend with Jeffrey in his time of need. And, I think, before his passing, he realized really what unconditional love is. And so, but yes, it took a lot of resilience and strength, but it's not something I thought about. It's just something I did. And so I credit that time to teaching me about resilience and inner strength and fortitude and hope. And so what was a very what could be seen as a tragedy ended up really being, an extremely powerful life lesson for me and helped me evolve into who I am now.
I know that you share about how life should be free of judgment.
Mhm.
And I would love for you to expand on that for our listeners. I think that's such a beautiful place to come to.
Well, I believe that, and so and you can see why I use believe a lot and why I picked the the title, because I do say it is these are my beliefs, and so I'm not a you know expert in life, but these are things that I believe, and so I teach my kids with my beliefs, and that's what my book is sort of about. But I, I don't. I think that everyone has their own destiny. And so I believe that what goes around comes around. So no one's perfect, but everyone's destiny is like their own fingerprint. So while, you understanding that no one is perfect and that your destiny is not perfect because you have to learn things in life along the road, um, you can't really judge someone else for what they're going through at a point in time, because you don't know what their destiny is. And, um, everyone, like I said, everyone is going through different things at different times. And because of connections, like when someone feels connected to you, it could be because, they're going through something very similar, to what you've gone through or will be going through. And so that connection is part of a destiny also. But I just don't think that it's fair to judge people when number one, no one's perfect. And I think that everyone has chosen a predestined life. And so, you know, whatever someone else is going through, there's a reason for it. And so you can't really say, you can't say it's good or bad. Like I said, it's perception, it's how you perceive it. And if you perceive everyone as individual, then you really can't have judgment.
Well, on that note, we're going to pause here for a quick break. You've been listening to Moments with Mary Ann. We'll be right back after these messages from our sponsors.
Are you an author, speaker, or expert who is looking for more publicity? Visit radioguestlist.com and sign up for free interview requests from shows looking for guests. Radio Guest List is the #1 free booking resource for radio, podcasts, and TV talk shows who are looking for experts like you right now. Visit radioguestlist.com and sign up today to get the visibility you deserve.
There comes a moment when you realize you're somewhere special. When you discover that each beautiful creature that you see has been rescued from a life of absolute horror and brought to this incredibly free place. Here's where their lives were forever changed and where yours will as well. Discover over 500 tigers, bears, and lions at the brand new visitor center at the Wild Animal Sanctuary just outside Denver. For more information, visit wildanimalsanctuary.org. Discover true freedom at the Wild Animal Sanctuary.
It's one thing to become attached to your perfect home, but what do you do when that home becomes attached to you? A family in dire need of a fresh start, a mysterious house tied to the past. Buried deep within the foundation of the old Far Hill Manor lies a centuries-old secret. Dark forces or something stronger just waiting to be discovered. Caretaker, a supernatural thriller by breakout authors R.J. Halpert.
Internationally recognized and award-winning author Judy Goodman works and teaches outside the box of limited thinking. Working with people from every walk of life, her goal is to empower you to be the best you can be, no matter what the challenge is. Born with the gift of seeing beyond our normal vision, she has an extraordinary gift of working with every challenge. Teaching beyond conventional wisdom, her work is described as life-changing. Visit judygoodman.com. That's judygoodman.com.
I'd like to thank Jason Eastwood at Guitarfulness for sharing his inspiring music and talent with us. His music is known worldwide for cultivating atmospheres of harmony, inner peace, and clarity. Visit Jason's website at guitarfulness.com. Join his newsletter, be part of his community, and download his music. Welcome back to Moments with Mary Ann. We're here today with special guest, Christina H. Wilson, who's here to share with us her new book, Believe, a Memoir in Stories. You've mentioned that you believe that everything happens for a reason. So how do you find meaning or purpose in moments of tragedy or really deep hardship?
So with the things that were tragic in my life, And I say everything happens for a reason, but it doesn't. The reason doesn't appear, the next day, the next hour, maybe not even the next year or next 10 years. But I do believe that when you look in the rearview mirror of your life, you can see why everything happened in your life and what the lesson you learned from that came to be. And so like I said, if you believe that things happened for you, like I said, when you're having a really difficult time, if you can hold on to that thought that, okay, there's a reason for this, and I just need to have resilience to get through this time because it's not forever, it's temporary. And then you'll see it'll bring about change, because things every day, life changes. And I think eventually when you get far enough away from what you perceive or what seems to be tragic, you'll see what the lesson in that time was. And usually it's, like I said, it's a life lesson. So if you learn the lesson, you will evolve from it. If you don't learn the lesson, it's going to come back, which you saw in my book that there were lessons that I didn't learn, and so they came back. And until I learned the hard lesson, was I finally able to move forward in my life and evolve from it.
Writing a memoir can be so deeply reflective and such an emotional process.
Mhm.
Were there parts of your story that were very difficult to write or cathartic in many ways?
So the most difficult story for me to write, probably is the most cathartic and also at the same time most beautiful. And it was the story about a little boy that I became his, I guess we called it big pal or big pal for American Cancer Society. And it was it is definitely a very emotional story, because uh, Willis had cancer and eventually passed. But the beauty of that story and the lessons I learned from a young, terminally ill boy were so powerful, because he taught me really, and I think that's where I learned how to, I think I learned humility. I learned how to look at the beauty in life, not see, not or think about what the future was going to hold, but to see every day as beautiful. Because here was this 13-year-old boy who knew he was going to die, yet exuded humility, beauty. I mean, he was just the most loving, full of graciousness child. And so he taught me a lot. He taught me to be humble. He taught me to wake up every day and be grateful. And I do. And it allows me through my life to stay in a bandwidth of peace. Like I don't get too high in life and I don't get too low, because I really try and stay. And obviously that you have bad days and you have good days, but I really try, if I'm having a bad day, I allow myself to have the bad day and then say, okay, tomorrow I'm going to wake up and it's going to be better. And so I learned those lessons from him. And so while it was such a tragic and emotional, and it's still hard for me to even talk about it, it was really hard for me to write just because of all the emotions I hold around him. But he really taught me the beauty in life and the beauty in seeing life.
So, how is your life today?
My life, I am happy to say, I mean, like I said, I don't get too high and I don't get too low, but I feel gratitude and blessed every day. I have 5 children that are happy and healthy and independent. I have an amazing husband who is supportive and allows me to be me, and really, you know, he was probably the force behind me always writing my stories, because he was always so captivated with my stories. And so he's like, you really need to write this story down. And so I did. And so he's when I don't have strength, he is my strength, and he's my voice of reason. So I really feel blessed. And I know, I think a part of the book, my favorite part of the book is the ending. um, I was, because I grew up sickly, I read a lot of fairy tales. And so I always like, oh, I love, happy endings. And even though, like, because this is a memoir, there is an ending to my book, which I love, but it's the ending of that chapter in my life, which to me now is my past. And I don't believe in holding on to the past. I think I try and stay present. And so it's exciting, my life right now. And I'm looking forward to evolving more, and having more, I think you continue to learn and evolve until you die. And so I am looking forward to everything that's going to come my way, and and look forward to evolving to be even more than I am today.
What would you like readers and our listeners to take away from your book, Believe?
I would like them to see. It's really a book about, like I said, hope, resilience, um, unconditional love. So all things that are really important, and especially when, the world is a little crazy, to have these beliefs, I guess, right, can really help anyone who is suffering or has doubts about their life, or um, just, I guess it's hope. I guess the book is, what I would like is for people to realize it's about a book on hope and unconditional love and family.
I think it has so many gems within it that many people
Thank
can
you.
take. Oh, yeah, it's such a great read. I mean, and we're not even talking about like, I mean, that the chapter of befriending the serial killer. I
Yes.
mean, my goodness, I'm sure it's something to laugh about now, but at the time, it's like, oh wow, that was very, very close. But it gives such great wisdom in each of the stories that I think is why so many people are connecting with this as well as they are. It's something that they can really resonate with.
Oh, well, thank you for that. I hope that, that is really what my hope is for the book, is that it could help my readers, that it could bring them something to their life. And it's really, in essence, a feel good story. I mean, my life has been a lot. It's been dramatic. It's been, what some might say, horrible, tragic, and at the same time, wonderful. Um, so yeah, it's been a lot, but at the same time, it's just, that's what life is. We all experience life in different ways.
Christina, where can our listeners connect with you and learn more about your book, Believe?
I have a website. It's www.christina, Christinah, like in Henry, Wilson, Wilson, like in Nancy.com. So I think that's probably the best place to, and you could also send me messages and I get them.
Can you share a little bit about your podcast with us?
Sure. So I was extremely fortunate to, after my first husband passed, I was introduced to a grief support group for me and my 2 boys who were only 5 and 7. And it really, I was always such a private, sounds crazy because I wrote a book on my life, but I was always a very private person. And I never imagined that I would go into a support group, let alone a grief support group. But I did, and it changed our lives. We were being in a group where everyone understands your pain is so powerful. And I don't know how I would have gotten through without having the women, and sometimes there were men in our group, that every other week I could go and just be. There were no judgment, everyone there was an underlying understanding of what you were going through. And during COVID, I was getting a lot of phone calls from people, acquaintances, really, sometimes friends, but acquaintances saying, oh, I lost my husband or I lost my wife. And, how did you get through it? And it became a lot for me to, have to talk to people. So I reached out to 5 of the other girls that were in my group. And I said, hey, maybe it would be helpful if we started a grief support group podcast, because people at that time didn't have the ability to go to a support group. And that's how it came about. So really every episode is a topic on grief. And we really, none of us are therapists or experts on grief, but we've survived grief. And so we all talk in our group, we learn you talk from your I space. So we all talk from our own space. And not only has it been really cathartic and therapeutic for us, the women, the feedback that we've received has just been amazing. And it's not just here in the US, it's all over the world. It's crazy how you can affect someone, in another country and don't know them, yet you can have such a beautiful impact on their life. And so that's that's our goal, is to help people, because, grief is devastating. And I couldn't imagine going through it alone. And so that's what we offer our listeners to the podcast, validating their feelings, providing hope, giving advice. It's a safe space to grieve.
Well, Christina, thank you so much for taking the time to be on the show with us here today.
Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate this and enjoyed it a lot. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Christina. It's been such an honor to spend this time with you and to talk about your new book, Believe, a Memoir in Stories. You can learn more about Believe at Christina's website, ChristinaHWilson.com. Well, we're at the end of our time today. I'd like to thank everyone for tuning in. You've been listening to Moments with Mary Ann, where we make every moment count.
In a single moment, your life can change. Moments with Mary Ann is a transformative hour that covers an endless array of topics with the best of the best. Her guests are leaders in their fields, ranging from inspirational authors, top industry leaders, and business and spiritual entrepreneurs. Each guest is gifted and a true visionary, a recognized leader in her own work, and while teaching others to develop, refocus, and grow, Mary Ann will bring the best guest and sometimes a special surprise. Don't miss this. You never know just which moment will change your life forever. Make sure to tune in and visit momentswithmaryann.com for more information.